29 GT4 cars are lined up and ready to take on the challenge of Sebring International Raceway. Just 3 races remain in the 2021 Pirelli GT4 America season, and who best handles Sebring's famous bumps will go a long way towards settling the championship across all 3 classes. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish joins me in the broadcast booth. Amanda Busick patrols the pit lane for us on our broadcast here today. A beautiful day in Sebring, Florida, getting ready for the second of 2 Pirelli GT4 America races here this weekend. Just 3 races remaining. Championships up for grabs in, well, really just the one class now at this stage. The silver class, as yesterday went a long way towards determining the outcome in both Pro-Am and Am.
Yeah, for the Nola Sport team, they clinched that Pro-Am title. Finally, having finished runner-up for 2 years in a row. So congratulations to Jason Hart and Matt Travis. And the Toyota Super team, great day there for the group of John Jesbray and Kevin Conway. Saw Steve Hallam last night celebrating with the whole TRD group. So big day for them.
It was indeed. Great stuff there. More on those stories as we get through the broadcast. But as the cars take the formation laps here at Sebring, let's show you what lies in store for these cars and drivers with our Porsche track preview.
Hi, my name is Jan Helen with the Porsche track preview here at Sebring International Raceway. Onto the front stretch here at a bumpy Sebring racetrack. Into turn 1, 5th gear, high-speed corner, quick step on the brake, 4th gear, back to power, using up all that track here on the exit, trying not to drop a wheel in the dirt. Into turn 3, down the 2nd gear, left, right, left, into turn 5. Very low grip here at the start of the weekend. Big corner here, big exit onto that back stretch. And then into turn 7, which is one of the slowest corners on the track, 45 mile an hour, so a great opportunity to make some moves. Braking deep here at the 300, down the 1st gear. Good apex there, and then back to power. Through the S's and into turn 10. Turn 10 again, a hard brake zone into 2nd gear and a very bumpy braking here. Hard on the brakes, down the 2nd, and then back to power in this into this long left-hander, really fun corner. Flat out, 3rd, 4th, and then into a tricky brake zone, braking and turning at the same time. Into tower here, using up all that exit, 2nd, 3rd, and then into Bishop, which is one of the quickest corners on the track. 5th gear, flat out, and then into the brake zone for 15. Hard on that apex curb right, using up all the track, apex curb left, and then back on the curb here at the apex of 16. Using up all the track coming onto the back straightaway. One of the most important corners on the track. Long straightaway following that turn 16, and then into 17. Super fun corner, very bumpy on entry and exit. Late on the brakes here, close to the end of the wall. Very bumpy here under the bridge, as you can see, and then back to power, trying to run up as close as you can to that exit wall and back onto the front straightaway.
It was a strong qualifying for this race for Porsche. 3 Porsches starting in the top 6 spots, but it's this BMW, Calvin, that is set to start on pole with BMW great Bill Oberlin at the wheel.
Yeah, Bill is rapidly approaching 500 starts in BMW machinery. I think they'll get to that point early next year. So certainly a ton of experience, a lot of success here at the Sebring 12 Hours. Alongside will be Jason Hart, who clinched that championship, that Pro-Am title here yesterday with his teammate Matt Travis. So kind of the pressure is off that group. Let's see what they can do here today.
Starting grid up on the screen. The safety car starting to accelerate away because we are through with the formation laps and about to go green. A couple of things to keep an eye on. Is the 3R Povolato Racing Aston on the grid? I don't think so. They had a big crash earlier today in GT America, powered by AWS. Also, the Capstone Motorsports Mercedes of John Barry starting at the back of the grid due to a change of tires from the set they were supposed to start on, so they will start at the back of this field. Here we go. 28 cars now ready to take the green flag for race 2 of the weekend. Tom Hansing has it in hand, and we are green at Sebring. Bill Oberlin with a great start, but it's 3, 4, even 5 wide behind.
Looks like John Capestro Dubets in the Auto Technic BMW has slid inside Jason Hart there. Tom Dyer there up in the mix as well aboard the car bound with Peregrine Audi.
Huge move from Owen Trinkler. 4 or 5 rows deep with a move through the middle of a 3-wide situation. He just banged doors with Christian Shimshak in the Murillo Racing Mercedes. That's probably outside of the top 10, but the battles are fierce. Meanwhile, side by side there, Dyer about went around in his fight with Jason Hart, the champion-elect in Pro-Am, and Elliott Skier now heaping the pressure on in the Premier Racing Porsche.
Cosmo in the mix as well as JCD flashing the lights on Billy Orblin. Bleekemolen into the 3rd position ahead of the other Porsche Cayman of Jason Hart as they negotiate through turn 7.
Kyle Marcelli making a pass around the outside of Shimshak there in the hairpin. A little bit of contact between those 2 cars. Here's Cosmo starting to run down Elliott Skier a little bit just outside of the top 5. It's Oberlin from John Capestro Dubets. Then Jerome Bleekemolen has jumped to 3rd after qualifying 4th for Black Swan.
Cosmo and Kyle Marcelli there in the middle of that pack aboard the Mercedes. Look at that move by Tom Dyer trying to get that big wide entry in a tower corner to get a run as they head towards Bishop.
Yeah, we saw the Rentec Motorsports teammates going at it behind. That's Owen Trinkler who had made the aggressive move early, going off-roading here at Sebring. That opens up the door for Toby Grahovic, a winner in the silver class yesterday, 2nd overall. He comes through.
Grahovic didn't qualify where we anticipated here, so he's a man on the charge right now.
This is an important battle with the championship in silver in mind. Yesterday's overall winner, Conquest Racing with Kai Stevens and Colin Mullen, not in the championship picture, but the car they're chasing is. Shimshak and Kenny Murillo trying to clinch that title here today.
Greg Leofouge very much in the mix as well aboard that bright blue and orange BMW. You can see it there mid-pack. He had the fastest lap of the race here yesterday.
72 car, that's the points leader in silver, and it's a pretty hefty margin. There are plenty of scenarios by which they could clinch the championship with 2 races still to go. Both the Pro-Am and Am championships were clinched yesterday.
Up front, Orblin leads, but JCD is keeping him honest at the front. Look at this fight here coming down into turn 1. Greg
Leofouge, the number 119 Stephen Cameron Racing BMW. It's the M4 platform. Built to the GT4 model. Of course, the new BMW GT3 car debuting next year is also based on the M4.
Up front, Bleekemolen holding down that 3rd position as the 2 BMWs have a little bit of a gap on him. Leofouge, one of the fastest drivers in the field, looking to make some hay here. It wasn't a great day for the Stephen Cameron Racing team so far. Sean Quinlan got involved in an incident in the GT America race earlier this morning.
Really nice pass there. Tom Dyer in the Carbon Audi that we're looking at right there made the pass around the outside of Jason Hart in the NOLA Sport Porsche. They clinched the championship in Pro-Am yesterday, did NOLA Sport, as well as the drivers Jason Hart and Matt Travis.
Dyer is hooked up, starting to put the pressure on Bleekemolen. There he is in his shadows here, coming down into tower corner once again. That Audi really compliant over the bumps and gets the power down well.
And one of the underrated pros in this field. You give Tom Dyer a car he can work with, and he will go to the front. And now he is hassling one of the best GT drivers on the planet, Jerome Bleekemolen.
What a scrap this is. Skier once again impressive, really impressive run for him.
That's right, he's right now running right behind Hart. That's Porsche on Porsche, NOLA Sport versus Premier. Down the Oldman Straight they go. Oberlin with a bit of a gap over John Capestro Dubets. Jerome Bleekemolen runs 3rd. Here comes Kenton Cook looking up the inside of Guy Cosmo. Aston Martin to the inside of Mercedes. That might open the door for Kyle Marcelli to come through on his teammates.
Yeah, the 47 has clinched this championship, but there's a big battle between Stephen Cameron Racing, the number 119, and the number 15. That B-Sport Aston Martin only separated by 1 point in the point standings right now.
Marcelli looking to the inside of Cook. He wants more after getting by his teammate. Cosmo shuffled back a couple of spots. Looked like a slip up there from Hart. And here comes Elliott Skier Porsche to the inside of Porsche, the Cayman of Skier, who made his debut in this championship back at Road America and has impressed ever since. Gets the spot. And
Ken and Cook takes advantage of Jason Hart being pushed wide a little bit.
Start to this race for Jason Hart, who qualified quite nicely on the outside of the front row, in fact.
Wobbling up front. A little bit of distance between he and JCD. Runs in that second position. BMW's running 1-2. Porsche third. Audi fourth.
Leaders out of the hairpin through Fangio. That's turns 8 and 9. In the run down to turn 10. Pretty heavy braking zone here. Right-hander, turn 10, 90 degrees. Bleekemolen to the inside. Oh, John Barry with a problem for the Capstone team.
Right rear is down, I believe. Not sure if there's been contact. It was a fresh set of tires. Dyer putting the pressure on big time on Bleekemolen. Great racing there between these two.
That's impressive stuff. Tom Dyer, great to have him in the championship. Great to have Black Swan back. Jerome Bleekemolen and Tim Pappas had a really strong run yesterday.
Ken Cook's the man on the move right now, cutting through this field. Scab Jason Hart on this lap as he tries to get back in his rhythm.
B-Sport Racing, the team. It's Brian Putt's organization, but Kenton Cook and his wife, they basically run the day-to-day operations. And then when he gets plugged in, he's as quick as they come. You look at the pros in these Pro-Am lineups, and it's remarkable the amount of driving talent there. Kenton Cook certainly has shown that over the course of the last nearly 2 seasons now since joining up with this team. Here we go, silver class battle. Christian Shimshak, the points leader, trying to keep yesterday's overall winning car. That's the silver car from Conquest Racing West. Mackay Stevens, Colin Mullen sharing the driving duties, and Colin gets the start here today.
For Shimshak and Murillo on the verge of clinching their silver title as well. 57-point lead coming in. If they maintain that, or anything over 50 at the end of the day at the checkered flag here this morning, that would be enough heading to Indy that they couldn't be overcoming the points.
2 races remaining after this one. A win pays 25, so why 50 becomes the magic number. Plus, they would have the tiebreaker on the strength of the number of wins they've amassed this season. John Capestre Dubets, by the way, CrowdStrike fastest lap the last time by. He's cut the gap to Oberlin down under a second, 8/10 now.
We had that fastest lap, but Billy was only a 1/10 of a second off of that, so the BMW's having good pace here. Took a little bit of a BOP hit before the races yesterday. 10 kilograms, 22 pounds added to the BMWs. Were very strong in practice and testing here this week, so that brought the field a little bit closer. And that's going to have more of an effect on the long green flag run here. Tire changes do not happen during the mandatory pit stop between the 25 and 35-minute mark of this race, so you got to manage these tires a little bit. Temperatures are soaring here this morning. Started out in the high 70s, creeping into the low 80s now.
Pro-Am cars occupy the top 9 spots overall. Then you get to the silver class leader of Christian Shimshak. Second in silver, Colin Mullen right behind him. And not too far behind that battle is Toby Grahovic, who holds down third, and he'll be handing over to the rapid Stephen McAleer when we reach the mandatory pit stop window right around the halfway mark of this 60-minute race. No tire changes, no refueling, just that driver change. But when you choose to take it and how well you execute it can have a crucial impact on the outcome.
You talked about the depth of that field. Look at the top 20 on the screen there. You see Ian James, former champion, 19th. Andy Lee, 16th. Andrew Davis, 15th. Trinkler, 14th. Not even inside the top 10 as we see a car stranded there, right side of the Ullman Straight.
That was the Capstone car still limping its way back to the pit lane with the tire that has gone down. John Barry, who impressed in his first pro race yesterday, got the call up from his longtime friend and colleague, John Allen, to jump in the race car last minute here this weekend. In fact, after the practices had started, they nearly came away with a win yesterday on debut in the AM class, ultimately settled for second. But problems here in the early going of race 2.
Dust flying there through turn 1 as a high-speed corner. You're hitting the bumps, and if your visibility is impaired any, makes it quite the ride through that corner. Shimshak hanging on here from Colin Munnell for the lead in the silver class.
Capestre Dubets just reset fastest lap of the race. That time a 1/10 and a half quicker than Bill Oberlin. He's got the gap down under 7/10. Good fight here for the lead in silver. Colin Mullen, last year's Sprint X Silver Cup champion, along with Jared Andretti. That was in a McLaren. He is looking very stout, putting the pressure on Christian Shimshak.
Leofouge down to the inside of Grahovic. That is not for a position in class, just overall. He moves into the 12th position, still holds 10th in class. Grahovic still in a podium run.
Kyle Marcelli looking strong. I wish we had been able to say that a bit more often this season. Kind of a late addition to this crew, but showing his quality. Very good in GT3 cars over the last few seasons in SRO, and has had a lot of success in GT4 also.
Won a title last year.
Yes, in an Aston. Or was it breakout?
Mullen's gotten around Shimshak here. That's for the silver lead.
You're right. Greg Leofouge is closing in on this. That's not the class position, but they are not well positioned in Pro-Am. Surprisingly so. Leofouge all the way back in 10th in that class. In the car to Sean Quinlan.
Shimshak and Murillo still looking good, running second in class now, as we mentioned. 57-point lead coming in. That's over the 22 car. Sorolo and Barber, who run 4th right now in class. So that would be enough if the positions remain the same to the checkered flag to claim the title today.
While things settle down just a little bit on track, it's a good time to welcome Amanda Busick into the broadcast.
Well, we've been talking about the championships that were clinched yesterday. As you guys mentioned, one of those was in the AM category of John Jesbray and Kevin Conway. And Kevin, when you look at the achievements you've had in your career, you guys wrapped up this championship a whole event ahead of time. Where does this one rank for you?
It was incredible to be able to wrap up the championship yesterday for both the team side and the driver side. Just a real testament to smooth racing and what Toyota's been able to do with the GR Supra GT4 platform, and we're really excited to be a part of this series. It's our first time, in this series. It's our first time racing in GT4, and John's had an amazing year, and we're having a lot of fun. And now we're focusing on winning races and learning as much as we can for next year. We still have a lot to learn.
I saw you on your scooter, beating it as fast as you could down to the podium to see John. What did you say to him as you guys wrapped up this championship?
Well, it means the world to us, and what he's been able to do, and with his very limited experience this year is just incredible, and we're excited for his future and to be able to be a part of that. And the kid's done everything right so far this year, knock on wood, but we still have a long ways to go in this race. But he's a very special talent, and we're looking forward to him being a part of the SRO series for a long time to come.
Thank you, Kevin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And right now, he's putting the pressure on Russell Walker for the lead in the AM class. That's Walker in the Nola Sport Porsche to the inside, Jesbray to the outside in the Supra. Can he stay up alongside long enough? Doesn't look like he can. Good battle here, though, between the top two in AM. They are currently running 19th and 20th overall.
Super impressive season for this Toyota Supra. Another turnkey platform delivered by TRD and Toyota, of course, but really strong debut season, putting the pressure on for another class win here today. And young Jesbray, really impressive on the track, behind the wheel, and off the racetrack. Super pleasant young man.
Definitely so. Getting some really good advice from Kevin Conway. NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year, but has been doing more sports car racing in recent years. Family friends with the Jesbrays, and he's been using that experience and his connections to help advance John's racing career, which is only in its second season. He had done nothing prior to MX5 Cup last year and has made the switch from that single make spec racing format to what we see here in Pirelli GT4 America with aplomb. He has been tremendous.
Ian James here down at the inside looking for a move on Nick Galante. It's a battle for 14th position in the Pro-Am class.
Carter looking aggressive. That was the...
James now gets it down to the inside. This is Christensen corner. Can't quite clear the BMW. Working him over. Galante out wide. Sometimes you struggle for traction when you're that wide coming off the corner, but still got the grip in the tires to make it work.
Absolutely amazing that this is this far down in the field. It's not where you're used to seeing Ian James, but it speaks to the level of talent on the pro side of these rosters.
Coming off a double podium, including a win at Watkins Glen. So if you're just a little bit off, it just shows you how you can be shuffled down the order. It's just so competitive in this GT4 Sprint X competition this year.
14th and 15th in Pro-Am, but you might think it was a battle for the lead, as tight as it is. Nick Galante right there. He'll be turning over to James Clay. Here we go, another fight here. Toby Grahovic and Andy Lee just ahead of these two, and right behind him, the duel continues for the lead in the AM class. Should update you that at the front, Bill Oberlin has built a lead of nearly a second and a half, and the fight is now for second, with John Capestre-Dubets being pressured by both Jerome Bleekemolen and Tom Dyer, who just set the Crown Strike fastest lap of the race 2 laps ago.
10 minutes from that pit window opening. Happens 25 minutes into this race. Just to go over the rules. Mandatory driver change. No tire change allowed unless you have a technical issue with one. And the minimum stop time is 85 seconds from pit in to pit out, including that driver change for GT4s here this weekend.
Side by side there, I think that's Andrew Davis battling with Owen Trinkler, trying to take that spot away. And that's exactly what he does. Bouncing over those curbs, huge curbs at the apex of turn 17. By curbs, I meant bumps. Don't know why I said curbs. We're here at Sebring. It's all about the bumps.
Andrew Davis, his teammates on a high this weekend, swept the weekend in GT America competition. That's Jason Bell, of course. So he'll be ready to go, and just itching to get back behind the wheel here at his home circuit, essentially. Lives up in Tampa.
Had a great run this morning in the GT America powered by AWS race. Had a second yesterday, a win today in the GT4 class. Not points-paying races. Exhibition for that series here this weekend, unlike here at Pirelli GT4 America, but he's riding a wave of momentum at the moment is Jason Bell, and his co-driver and coach, Andrew Davis, riding that with him. New fastest lap of the race, and it comes from the car running 10th overall, the silver class leader, Colin Mullen, a 2:12.8. That's about a 10th faster than what the race leader turned the last time by.
Yeah, super impressive performance once again by that whole group. Conquest Racing, led by Eric Bachelard. Got some excellent team personnel there. Ian Willis from the AIM team from up north of the border is on hand, helping that group out. And Mackay Stevens and Colin Mullen have just done a tremendous job since they made their debut a couple of events ago.
Bill Oberlin, John Capestre-Dubets in this fight for 3rd overall, 3rd in Pro-Am. Jerome Bleekemolen and the number 54 Porsche Cayman. He's got Tom Dyer breathing down his neck in the Audi from Carbon. Pretty good diversity at the front of this field. BMWs, Porsches, got the Aston running right behind there. In the 6th spot, Elliott Skier has a Porsche running 5th. A couple of Mercedes at the back half of the top 10.
JCD really wide there through 17. Goes for a bit of a ride, literally.
Kept his foot in it, though. Didn't seem to lose too much ground. Top speeds overall. Very interesting to see the Porsche of Bleekemolen at the top of that list. No surprise to see the BMWs populating this chart, but interesting that the Cayman has similar top-end speed, at least in the slipstream.
Yeah, it's all very close. Just a mile per hour between the top 5 or 6 there. We expect these pros in the Pro-Am class to go deep into that pit stop window, so we're going to see these guys in action for about another 15 minutes before they'll hit pit lane, just trying to take advantage of their speed. Dyer, very impressive run. A car bound with Peregrine team. So much success at the GT4 level over the years. And here at Sebring, so they've got a good notebook to work from. Samir Gandhi will be taking over from Tom Dyer aboard that machine later in this run.
And if I have this right, Steve Dinan is involved in that program. He's been around running big-time motorsports operations for a long time. It's a great mind to have at your disposal.
His name was synonymous with BMWs for many years, but now he's involved with a lot more than just BMWs. Been campaigning Audis for the last 3 seasons.
The car looking very strong. This is the Audi we're talking about right here. Right there in the tire tracks of Jerome Bleekemolen. It's not been a full season for Tom Dyer. He's been in and out of this car. We saw him at Road America. That's where he posted the best finish of the season so far, 6th place. Saw him also at Watkins Glen, as well as Circuit of the Americas.
His best lap at 112.97 compares to the fastest lap at 112.85 by Mullen. The leader, Aublin, at a 213 flat. So Dyer's got the pace.
Definitely so. Had the fastest lap of the race for a time. Colin Mullen has since taken that away. Currently now up to 9th. Still leading in silver, and now has a few cars between himself and his closest pursuer, Christian Shimshak. But Shimshak doing what he needs to do, keeping that silver championship in mind. They are definitely in position to have that all wrapped up before we even head to Indianapolis in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're looking in really good shape here, and they're so consistent. Always running strong.
This is the car we're speaking of, this orange Mercedes. Christian Shimshak driving. Young Kenny Murillo will take over. He's been a revelation in this car. We saw him a couple of times a few years ago, 2019, paired up with Christian. When he wasn't racing, he was helping to engineer the car. Matt Fosnot was doing a lot of the driving. He's had a lot of success with this team over the years and alongside Christian Shimshak.
5 wins and 3 podiums on the year now. That's how you put a championship together.
And back to the front as we inch closer to that pit window opening in just a few minutes now. We won't be seeing this car come to pit lane anytime soon, but Bill Oberlin will be, when he does come, he'll be turning it over to James Walker Jr. And James has been in this position a few times, courtesy of Bill's pace, jumping in the car, inheriting the overall lead and managing it from there.
And James has been really impressive here this weekend on debut at Sebring, so a lot to learn. Bill has been fast all weekend, but he said, I've really been trying to give James as much seat time. You have to compromise that seat time. You may be thinking, oh, if I tweaked on the car a little bit more, I could find a 10th or 2. But if your teammate is here for the first time, he can probably find bundles of tenths of seconds. So Walk was very impressive. I think he ran in the top 3 when he came in the pits yesterday, and Aublin did not have a trouble-free run, so they were plummeting down the order a little bit, had a drive-through penalty.
Well, more on the Carbon with Paragon Racing team now from the pit lane in Amanda.
Well, Samir Gandhi's been watching along Tom Dyer making this run in that Audi R8, and when you look at the performance that your teammate is having here today, what can you use of that as you prepare to get into this car?
Well, we did a lot of work on the car this weekend, and even made some changes yesterday, and I think Tom showed phenomenal driver. We got the car in a good place, just hoping to take over from where he's leaving off and keep it rolling.
When you prepare for your drive here in the second half of this race, when you approach Sebring, what is the key?
Yeah, I think we've been playing with some differences to get the car a little more stability over the bumps in 17 and 1, and feeling pretty good about where we landed on that.
Landed is the appropriate term in terms of the setup, because you are landing through turn 17. The wheels are in the air more than they're on the ground through there.
There are some amazing visuals of these cars bouncing over those bumps that probably get just that little bit bigger with each passing year, and yet you'd never hear the hue and cry to repave this place. I think there would be an armed revolt that would prevent anybody from laying down new asphalt or concrete here. So much of this is the original runway from back when this was the Army Air Corps base back in the 40s, and still maintains that aeronautical heritage. There is still an active airstrip just off of the circuit. I think just in the background a few minutes ago we saw a plane taking off. But what a home for endurance racing and sports car racing generally this has turned into over the years, and a bucket list track for so many.
Yeah, it's really a treat, and it really means something when you have success here at Sebring. It's one of those bucket list tracks that you want to certainly visit. If you're a fan, come and check it out, because it's pretty cool to wander around here. It's very much old school, but very unique.
Great look at the NOLA Sport car. Jason Hart, Matt Travis, maybe not running in the position they'd like to be, 7th right now, but they can race with a weight off of their shoulders, because as we've chronicled throughout the season, they've come so close to a title each of the past 2 years. They get it done nice and early this time. Robs us of a little bit of drama, but given the heartbreak they've dealt with, I can't begrudge them that. It was a lot of emotion on display yesterday when Amanda spoke to both Jason and Matt celebrating winning their championship.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt Travis is a great co-driver for Jason Hart. So looking at the lineups when we get to the second phase of this race, it wouldn't surprise me to see Travis knocking on the door of a podium run still. They're down in 7th right now, but he might have a slight speed advantage over some of the drivers that are going to be setting up for the second stints here today.
The window should be open now.
Could see some silver lineups doing a change. If you got an evenly matched pairing, then it comes down to just a ideal strategy situation. Could see Grahovic come in, for example, who's had so much success with Stephen McAleer this year.
There is the confirmation on the screen. Indeed, the pit window is open and will be for the next 9.5 minutes. Each team must be in the pit lane at the very least prior to the conclusion of the pit window. And you have to spend at least 85 seconds from entering the pit lane to exit, including that driver change before, or else you run afoul of the minimum pit lane rules. Change in position here, and it's been a few laps in the making. John Jesbray, the champion-elect in the AM class, has made the pass on Russell Walker. The other NOLA Sport car here. That is the AM class lead changing hands. Jesbray now over Walker.
How flat that Supra looks coming through some of these corners. Really superb handling car. A little bit taller greenhouse it looks like than the Porsche behind, but doesn't seem to have the roll that the Porsche has coming through some of these curves here.
Even though they lost that spot, it's still been a good run here for the Dad and Lad car, David and Russell Walker. Have had a couple of podiums this season, still looking for the win. Had a great run at Indianapolis, as I recall, last year to close out the season.
That's not a wise move. That's going to balk him a little bit and not have the same momentum coming off of turn 16 there. Will give Walker the run.
Here comes Russell Walker. And don't look too far behind, and you'll find the third place car in AM. That's Al Carter, the Random Vandals car that won yesterday.
And that car, Jesbray there, making that move. Now he comes back at him. Wow, that was cool. Can he keep it together? Rolling big speed there, probably in unknown territory. That wide coming through 17.
Galante bails for the pit lane. That opens it up for the top 3 in the AM class to duke it out. A number of contenders are on the pit lane now. Here comes Carter up the inside. He'll grab second away from Jesbray, but Jesbray fights back on the outside. Carter gives him just enough room, and they still are side by side headed to turn 3.
That was really close there, but just great respect between the two drivers here. Jesbray was really wanting to have the lead coming into this pit stop that they're looking at here shortly. He's dropped back a little bit, needs to regroup here, and that all came back down to turn 16 when he decided to make that move inside of Nick Galante there. Didn't quite pull it off.
Guy Cosmo out, Chris Cognazzi in for Rentec. That was the driver change you saw. Al Carter's not done yet. He smells blood in the water. He'd love to take that lead in the AM class before his time in this car is done.
Yeah, they've been really strong here, but up front, Auberlen continues to lead, but it's been nip and tuck between the two BMWs in terms of individual lap times. Auberlen would sneak away a little bit. JCD will come back at him. JCD's car doesn't look like it's as strong as it's been this year. Certainly through turn 17, he's had some big moments through there catching the race car.
By the way, Cole Corallo and Tim Barber trying to race for their championship lives here today. They've made the changeover. I don't think they used their joker yesterday. You're allowed to be 1 second under the minimum once per weekend. They were a couple of tenths under it on this stop. Needing to use every little advantage they could find to try and claw back into the picture, because it's been a strong run for this car, and they really just need to finish ahead of them. The Corallo-Barber duo needs to finish ahead of the Murillo Racing car to have much of a chance.
Yeah, and here comes Shimshak.
They're going to cover. They saw their championship rivals came in early, don't want to be caught out by the yellow, potential of a yellow, so they'll make the same call here and switch it over to Kenny Murillo for the duration.
Trinkler in as well. He was in a big battle there with Ian James on that lap before the pit stop.
Chris Gumprecht replacing Kyle Marcelli.
Chris has been super impressive once again here this weekend. Had a really strong run this morning in GT America competition.
Yes, indeed. Another contender just off the podium into the silver class Warren Dexter, Ryan Dexter, they've made their stop. It was a little bit slow, about a second and a half over the minimum, but that keeps them out of trouble at least. Here's the Murillo stop underway. Owen Trinkler also giving up his car to Paul Terry. Paul had a spirited drive yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's enjoying this relationship with Owen. I believe Owen's in for Indianapolis as well, and then making plans for next year, see if they remain as a driving partnership. Auburn, as we expected, running deep into this pit stop window. Probably do this one plus one more, I'd imagine. They need every 10th of a second they can muster here. It's going to be a fierce battle between the AM partners when we get to that second phase of this race.
That's right. So here in just a few minutes, it will be James Walker Jr. fighting Tom Capizzi, fighting Tim Pappas, fighting Samir Gandhi, fighting Adam Adelson in the top 5. Things changed dramatically after the pit stop here in Pirelli GT4 America, especially in the Pro-Am class, when the lesser experienced of the two drivers takes over second in race 2.
Yeah, so looking at the start, there's time to one more lap. You wouldn't have enough time to get back around to do 2 more, so expect most of these drivers to stay out for 1 more. As we say that, JCD peels it in, so maybe they're hoping that there's some kind of on-track action that will stymie Bill Auberlin's run back to pit lane here. So Auto Technique bringing their car in a lap earlier than we anticipated. The rest of the leaders stay out.
B-Sport also, similar strategy that surprises me slightly. Kenton Cook pulls in, and we'll turn the car over to Brian Putt. Andrew Davis has hit pit lane 2. Jason Bell set to take over that GMG Racing Aston Martin.
Can be a bit of a strategy, Corks. If there is a yellow, if the safety car is deployed, it could limit the speed of the driver getting back to pit lane. Jason Bell, fresh off a win here this morning. I got it incorrect. He swept the weekend at Watkins Glen, had a big win here this morning. Tight second place finish yesterday to Sean Quinlan.
Definitely a driver with a great deal of confidence. Maybe took a shot across the bow of his championship rival in GT America this morning, saying, I think I'm in his head.
I love it.
A little bit of mind games there. And all the focus is on this race. Here's the Smooth Racing crew. Oh, this doesn't look quite copacetic. Problems, I think, with the radio cord.
You have plenty of time. Essentially, you've got 45 seconds. Just driving through pit lane at 50 kilometers an hour will cost you about 40 seconds. And you got 85 to work with, so it should be plenty of time. And this is maybe one of the things that the Auto Technique team were looking at, is that Auberlin may encounter traffic on his in-lap. And that could ultimately prove pivotal in terms of where Tom Capizzi will be in relationship to James Walker when everyone completes their pit stops.
This is Capizzi here, so he needs to get on his horse and ride as quick as possible to see if he can take advantage of any potential lost time there, as Bill Auberlin tried to put a lap on the Sam Owen car. That's the Porsche directly behind. Jerome Bleekemolen is looking for a way by that car. And he's really going to be held up into turn 17. That's costly for Black Swan.
Yeah, you can see how important it is. This in-lap is critical here. Bleekemolen forcing the issue, didn't want to be slowed down and be further behind that Bimmerworld BMW as they hit pit lane. So great opening stints here by all of these pros. Leafu's not far behind. It was a good stint for him.
Yes, big recovery after a less than stellar starting position for this race. Let's see, this was, of the leaders, one of the first to blink and come in. Where does Tom Capizzi shake out? He's putting the crop to that car.
Tim Pappas jumping in. Been a long-time driver partner with Jerome Bleekemolen. A lot of success together in a variety of championships and classes.
All over the world, too.
Tim coming back from a massive accident at Bathurst.
It's been a couple years now.
Just under a couple of years ago now, but broke his hip, I believe, and then when he finally got his hip fixed, he realized that his foot was broken as well, but didn't realize because he hadn't put any weight on it for several weeks.
That was a big-time accident there at Bathurst, but he's a man who loves his racing. And that Black Swan team, it's one of those cars that always is spotless in the paddock. They have a great attention to detail.
Where is that overlap? believe that's James Walker we're looking at,
Yes.
heading out of pit lane.
Looking
Look
for
that.
Capizzi.
Don't see him yet, so I think Walker should be in good shape here.
Yeah, looks that way.
Again, you're comparing a Capizzi out lap to an Oberlin in lap, so Oberlin very much in the groove despite the traffic, so that's a factor too. And there you see Walker exiting pit lane as Capizzi's halfway down this front stretch.
Looking to see if anybody ran a foul. Doesn't look like it. Pretty good pit work, all things considered. The Carbon pit stop, though, 7 seconds over. That's going to hurt Tom Dyer and Samir Gandhi's chances. They're rejoining right there at the back of the picture. Mackay Stevens, who has taken over the Silver Cup leading car from Conquest Racing from Colin Mullen. He has come through. That's not a class position, but an overall position changed.
Everyone really dialed in. So many teams either just under, trying to use that 1 second joker, or just over in terms of not wanting to mess with that margin there. And this is what you're going to see later in the championship season as everyone gets dialed in.
As far as the AM class goes, the Jesbray to Conway stop was about 2 seconds slow, at least above the minimum. Al Carter and Paul Sparta, that was 4 seconds above the minimum. Nola Sport, though, very quick. Russell and David Walker only 1.7 over the minimum, so very curious to see where that shakes out. The time in pits graphic there certainly helps to get a sense for how these pit stops are going to affect the race. Adam Adelson embroiled in a battle here with Matt Travis, who clinched that long-awaited championship yesterday.
This will be a fun ride. Pressure is off. Championship is in the bag. Just go out and try and get the best results you can here for this one and the doubleheader at Indy.
This should be for the 3rd position overall. Adelson holding it for the moment. Skier had a great opening stint. So he's been a revelation. Great to see him back in pro racing after several years away. One of those talents we were afraid might slip through the cracks. But now it's his co-driver's turn to do the job, and Adelson has to go defensive. Travis working the outside, carries a ton of speed into turn 17. Working the outside lane, keeps the pedal in it, and you can give him the 3rd spot. Matt Travis takes it away.
Nice job there. And I think he's still got a really good shot here. It was a big result. We talked about Jason Hart. Started from the front row, great qualifying run here yesterday morning, but dropped back a little bit. But you know that Nola Sport team are going to keep digging deep and see what Travis can do in the second half of the race here.
Mackay Stevens knifing through the Pro-Am field. He is the silver class leader in the silver Mercedes. Just made the pass on Brian Putt. Looking at Tom Capizzi next, then is Sean Quinlan up the road. And all this is doing is putting more interference between himself and the Murillo racing car, which runs 2nd in class, but some 4 cars are between the two, all out of class though.
And again, for the Murillo racing team, that will be enough to claim that title here today. 2 rounds early on the championship season, so that'll be their thinking right now. Don't take any risk here for Kenny Murillo.
That's right. Tim Barber currently driving the CCR TFB car. That is the closest to them in the championship. That BMW, though, way down the order, unfortunately.
A lot of pressure now on these AM partners to try and bring it home. James Walker has the lead, grabbing the reins from that BMW from Bill Oberlin. Had a number of victories to their name over the last couple of seasons, but none of these come easy. He's going to feel a lot of heat from Pappas and particularly from Matt Travis here in the late going.
Replay here. What happens? Is this Samir Gandhi going around in the car that Tom Dyer had started? Relatively benign, just lost a lot of time.
It's one of those tricky corners, turn 5. You really want to roll big speed through there. It's so low speed, it kind of tempts you into just carrying a bit more speed than the track and the tire will give you.
We were wondering how the pit stops would affect the AM class, and this is our answer. Random Vandals Racing, they won for the first time yesterday. They did come out in front. It's now Paul Sparta leading, and Kevin Conway is giving chase. Ooh, this is a scary moment here. Terry and Clay coming together.
2 of the more aggressive drivers in our field, so a little bit of argy-bargy here, and Terry goes for a quick spin.
top 3 in AM are fairly close. We saw Sparta and Conway, and not far behind, you'll find the Walker car. That should be a fun fight to keep an eye on here in the final 20 minutes of this race. James Walker Jr., though, continuing to lead 1.7 seconds over Tim Pappas.
Yeah, and looking at the fastest, or the last lap, should I say, not fastest laps of the day with the set by the pros, but the last lap there for Walker, 2:16.3. Pappas half a second quicker, and then Travis 2/10 up on Pappas. So is there enough time on the board for Travis to get to these leaders? And does James Walker have to get defensive if Pappas closes in on him?
James is doing a great job running solid laps here, taking over for Bill Auberlin. They had that win at Road America. It was a big win for James in a GT4 car, and it was not just in class, but overall as well. Had a big smile on his face after that one.
Watch for Mackay Stevens here. He's gotten around Quinlan here for an overall position. Leads the silver class. He's about 9 seconds back of our leader, but showing tremendous pace. He could be right up there in terms of an overall win here by the checkered flag.
Second in silver just changed hands. McAleer got around Murillo, but again, that won't have any effect on the Murillo Racing Crew's ability to clinch the championship. But that McAleer car might be one to keep an eye on too. He was incredibly quick during his stint yesterday.
Yeah, the 22 car, which is the closest pursuer to Shimshak and Murillo, are not having a great day. They're well down the order, so that helps out the Murillo Racing operation.
Big time. What a great story this team has become. Conquest Racing, John Farrow, the Canadian businessman who supports this operation financially. Helped with some help from a number in the paddock, including Jeremy Shaw, organized a shootout for some prospective young drivers who needed a chance, had the talent, just didn't have the opportunity. And Mackay Stevens and Colin Mullen elevated themselves in that test. Mackay's been doing some club racing as of late to help get up to speed, but then this program made its debut at Road America, and they won for the first time yesterday.
Look at this run that Conway's got. Took 2 seconds out of that AM Plus lead there on that previous lap. The Toyota Supra is absolutely flying. Sparta has got a big fight on his hands right now.
And Ryan Dexter, actually it might be Warren Dexter, should be the second driver in that car running just behind. That's a silver class car, so probably not wanting.
Conway.
Yeah, Dexter doesn't want to get too involved in this fight. Conway is there. Sparta has to be defensive. Just that little bit down the front straightaway. Conway backing up the entry, trying to time the exit. Uh-oh, problems for McAleer. This was the silver winning car yesterday. Appeared to be off the pace. I thought I saw some smoke, but now accelerating back up to speed again.
I'm just not sure if he was off and on, but you're right. I did see some smoke as well. Seems to be up to a moderate speed. Let's take a look.
Peasy was off. Rejoined in front of Putt. McAleer tried to follow through and contact.
Yeah, so there might be some smoke coming from a tire up on the right front fender.
Gotta worry about Tom's car too.
So Walker up front, the gap is just 1 second now. So Pappas is closing in and Travis is coming with him.
Looks like wheel damage. The wheel was vibrating visibly on the right front of this McAleer car. That is a real shame. You can see.
He might need to park this.
Don't want to risk doing any further damage to that machine. I do wonder about this car too. Tom Capizzi, if the contact was heavy enough to break one car, just depends on where the contact happened, but you have to wonder about the other. You can see the Pirelli logo has been scrubbed off of the left rear tire on this Tom Capizzi car.
They'll be feeling it out, and if there's ever a corner to test whether the car's in good shape, it's coming at him right now.
Yeah, hold your breath, Tom. Here we go. Turn 17. Looks all right.
It's okay. He slowed down a little bit more than normal.
Yes.
Just to feel it out. All good.
That has to be a big relief.
Up front is super tight. Pappas has caught Walker. There we go. This is Christensen corner. Look in the backdrop. There's Matt Travis, showing a bit more speed than these two leaders right now. Potentially has the pace to grab the overall win. Mackay Stevens is coming now, though. He's only 6 seconds back. You can see him there in the backdrop aboard that Conquest Racing silver Mercedes.
Tim Pappas and James Walker Jr. fighting for the overall lead in Pirelli GT4 America. Walker holds the spot for the moment in the Red Line Oil BMW, then the Black Swan Racing Porsche, but they got held up there fighting each other. Side by side they go. Great run out of the hairpin from Pappas. He's to the inside of Walker, and right behind is Matt Travis.
Yeah, Pappas should be able to sneak inside here on the brake zone for turn 10. Walker tries to hang with him, has to give it up. This is going to give Travis a bit of a run as well.
Blika Mullen is loving every bit of it. It's the face on the left-hand side of the screen. There's the fist pump. Watching his longtime student and co-driver Tim Pappas drive to the overall lead.
That is awesome stuff for Tim. Great job there, kept it really clean. What he needs now is for Walker to maybe stymie Travis's approach here. But Mackay Stevens is coming in a hurry, leads the silver class, wants the overall victory. Has enough time on the board to work with.
And they had one yesterday. Once you taste that, you want to have it again. That's exactly what they're gunning for. Mackay Stevens, after a solid opening stint from Colin Mullen, now is wringing the neck of his Mercedes.
See Travis there really setting up for that final corner on the Ullman straightaway, turn 16. Not quite close enough. How deep does he take it in on the brakes? Porsche typically can carve this corner really well. Maybe try and tuck it to the inside. Walker holds that inside line. Nice job there by James. Not giving it up easy. There's Mackay Stevens getting ever closer.
Matt Travis surely sees that. The silver Mercedes with the red stripe getting closer, and he knows it's go time. Up the inside, Matt Travis to second place.
So now this battle is on between the two Porsches up front. Walker looking for a way by in a Christensen corner on the outside of Matt Travis on that particular approach.
Yeah, he's trying to counterattack. Not sure he's going to be able to pull that off. Brian Putt now. He's got the second place car in the silver class. Murillo back to second after the problems for Stephen McAleer just a few moments ago. But considerably behind Stevens and a bit trapped as it stands behind the V-Sport Racing Aston.
22 machine of Barber is down in the 20th position overall, 4th in the silver class. Why that is important is because this will give enough point spread from Murillo and Shimshak at the end of the day for the title. They're a long way back, so a lot of cars between them, so looking pretty good for Murillo right now.
And they'll be telling Kenny that, making sure he knows he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Don't take unnecessary risk. Let's get this wrapped up. Let's go have some fun at Indianapolis.
He's a smart young man, isn't he? Great engineering brain on him, great driver, thinks of the big picture.
What a racing heritage, too. His father was an excellent open-wheel racer on the road to try to get to IndyCar. He's turned into a great team owner as well. And then the great-grandfather of young Kenny Murillo, he showed us some pictures of this at Watkins Glen, was a BMW factory motorcycle rider back in the 30s. And here he goes on the attack here, slots it up the inside of Brian Putt. Not a class position change, but it does put him just a little bit closer to Mackay Stevens if there's ever going to be that hope of running him down for the lead in the silver class.
I think his great-grandfather ran the number 72, didn't he?
That's what he was telling us, yes. Showed us some really cool pictures also. It's very cool to see.
Pappas up front doing an excellent job. Walker has dropped that one spot now, so Travis really putting the pressure on. Here comes Mackay Stevens flashing the lights on that silver Mercedes. It's our silver class leader, but he'd love to get that overall win. Sets him up, tucks to the inside, should clear him by the time they get to the brake zone.
There he comes. Not
Really
much Walker
smooth.
can do in that position. You wouldn't know that Stevens has effectively been out of the cockpit for 3 or 4 years since his last season running junior open wheel cars.
Well, just wonderful stories. We had a great one this weekend when Mamo Gidley claiming victory in the GT America races here this weekend after, was it 2005 since he last won? It was injuries that have curtailed his career, but for Mackay Stevens, it's really just been opportunity. So he's grabbed this with both hands. Great support from the whole group there at Conquest. And he and Colin Mullen have really put in some really solid and impressive performances and getting their names back on the map.
I think you're right, though. You said it. Tim Pappas is doing a great job. He lost about half a second on the last lap to Travis, but not cracking under the pressure here.
Oh, he's been in this position many times before, so he's got the experience to deal with it. Looks like he's really comfortable with the car here this weekend. Showing great pace.
It's been a partial schedule, as expected from Black Swan. They ran at Sonoma, ran at Circuit of the Americas, had some issues at VIR. Back at Elkhart Lake. Did not see them 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. Has the one podium on the season. That was race 1 at Circuit of the Americas, where they finished second in the Pro-Am class. In position, though, to do one better, not just in class, but also take the overall win if he can hold on for the final 10 minutes. But I don't think it's just going to be a two-car fight for long. Mackay Stevens is closing in.
Travis is a little bit closer. He really sets up that final corner, turn 16 on the Almond Straight very, very well to sneak back up onto the tail of that Porsche in front of him. Mackay Stevens is coming in a hurry. Walker's hanging on there. He's not disappearing backwards. James Walker's really solid run. Still third in the Pro-Am class, so looking at a podium.
It's still Kevin Conway for Smooge Racing leading in the AM class. He now has a few seconds over Paul Sparta after taking that lead. If he could hold on, they would keep their streak of winning at least once every weekend in class alive. They swept the weekend at Watkins Glen. Didn't win yesterday. Random Vandals got that win. But in position to win yet again today if he can hang on for the final 8.5 minutes. That's in the AM class. This, though, is Pro-Am, the top 2, and also the top 2 overall, with the leader in silver lurking ever closer.
Yeah, Travis is looking menacing here, just trying to set him up. Kind of running these high approaches to the corners, just trying to get the power down a little bit sooner and get the acceleration run before the next corner. Curious to know in your mind how important is the class win versus the overall for drivers like Matt Travis right now. You want it all, right? You want your cake and eat it.
Well, especially when you don't have to think about the championship anymore, absolutely. Stevens, though, is about a second a lap faster than these two. So that should put him there in the next lap or so, and that changes the whole dynamic. So that's the incentive for Travis to get this job done nice and early, although might be enough, that time might have passed at this point. Mackay Stevens is well and truly there, the leader in silver, looking for a second consecutive overall win after breaking through yesterday.
Pappas, really strong run here. Looks like the Nola Sport car is carving the corners a little bit tighter. And this is that key corner, so important here, as we heard from Jan Halen on that track preview.
Top 3 overall, all running together. Samir Gandhi just up the road. That will be some lap traffic for them to contend with. That is the Nola Sport team watching. Sean Gibbons is the driver at the front of the screen. He's not a part of this driver lineup. His car running a little bit further back. Here they come, side by side. Mackay Stevens working the outside of Matt Travis with 7 minutes to go for second overall.
Wow, did he whistle some speed there through 17? Not sure Matt was expecting that one. Sets him up down to the inside. He'll keep it clean. Obviously wants the class victory, doesn't want to jeopardize that, but making some moves, they come up on that traffic.
Yeah, Pappas caught it at a bad time at the exit of turn 1 where there's really nowhere to hide. Pappas drifts wide, Stevens looks inside, nearly colliding, but Pappas fends him off.
I don't think Mackay was looking to make a move there, but he had nowhere to go with it. Had to tuck the nose to the inside, otherwise he's going to run over the top of the Porsche.
Stevens slotting in the second spot, splitting the top 2 in Pro-Am. Now, Matt Travis's best friend is Mackay Stevens. If he can make the pass quickly, that gives Travis the chance to contend for the class win.
Works both ways. When you got the lead for as long as Pappas has had it, your confidence is building, but also the tension and the pressure builds as you get closer to the checkered flag.
And you said it, he's a driver who's been at this for a little while now and has found himself in a position late in races to be trying to hold on to a position. This is nothing new to him. What is new is the appearance of Mackay Stevens, and the pace of that Mercedes changes the equation a little bit.
Well, I think what you got to think about is you want that class win, so don't let Mackay get tucked down to the inside and keep you held out there, or it's going to open up the door for Matt Travis. So big decision to be made here. I think he needs to let him go. Obviously down the straightaway would be the easiest spot, but don't get into that break zone and be held out to the outside and lose that position to Travis.
This is turns 15, now turn 16 onto the Oldman Straight, the back straightaway here at Sebring. Long drag strip, essentially down to turn 17, Sunset Bend. That's where Stevens made the move on Travis the last time by. Does he have the same trick up his sleeve?
Well, watch and see if he tries to whistle speed around the outside of 17 again. Pappas down to the inside. Here comes the Mercedes.
Stevens is quick at the apex, gets the throttle back down, stays right there, tucked up behind Pappas. Now the drag race is on to turn number 1. Less than 5 minutes to go. The fight for the overall win is on. Pappas, though, keeping the Mercedes at bay.
Watch for the break zone for 3. I think this is where Mackay is going to make his move.
Takes a peek.
Bit too risky.
Yep.
Pappas kind of runs that wide approach through turn 2 before you get into the break zone for 3. Kind of takes away the opportunity to get in that lane early for the following car.
Again, remarkable racecraft from Mackay Stevens, who has not been racing competitively very much at all in the last 4 or 5 years. Pappas got a great run there out of turn 5 and has plenty of room in hand, not really threatened into the hairpin this time.
No, and that's keeping Travis off him, so Travis is like to Mackay Stevens, go, clear him, let me get back into the battle for the class win.
But again, no championship to think about now for Travis and Hart. They clinched that yesterday, the long-awaited Pro-Am win after a couple of near misses. Now it's all about going for the race wins. And Stevens starting to reel back in the Black Swan Racing Porsche once again, the number 54 machine. Silver, gray, and green. Beautiful-looking race car, with the silver Mercedes from Conquest Racing West right behind Mackay Stevens, the native of Chicago, starting to get closer and closer yet again.
Mackay Stevens just taking his time here, just needs to set him up. This is a great opportunity. Back it up a little bit. Back it up and get the roll.
There was a little twitch out of Pappas there in 15. Stevens is closer this time than he was the last time by, but he had a twitch of his own on approach to 16. Might have cost him a bit of momentum. Pappas very stout down this straightaway. We saw in our race vision powered by AWS earlier, the Porsche is strong in a straight line, but Stevens backed this corner up, trying to time the exit. Not sure he got it quite right, but he's close.
He is close. Bad news for Pappas. I think there's time for 2 more laps. They're not going to see the white flag this time.
Stevens gets the run out of 17. He pulls to the outside of Tim Pappas on the run to turn 1. Stevens to the outside, sweeps around the nose of Tim Pappas and takes the overall lead. And now Matt Travis joins the battle. He's looking to take the first place spot in class.
And this is really key, and this is what we did not want to see for Tim Pappas, with Stevens making his way through, opening up the door, but Tim has really adjusted himself nicely here, got back into his groove. So now it's game on for that Pro-Am victory here between Pappas and Travis.
Pappas has that stick out, trying to beat back the challenge from Matt Travis. So far, so good. He's really good on the exit of turn 5. We've seen that the last couple of laps.
Super impressive performance here by Tim Pappas, one of his best runs he's ever had. He's had victories over the years, but this is a really solid day.
Look at this. Great duel, second overall, but the top spot in Pro-Am up for grabs. Mackay Stevens, though, since grabbing that spot, he has sprinted away. But I'll tell you what, Tim Pappas made him work for it.
Did. Long way to go, though. Lap and a half. Just over a minute, but they're going to get back to the line, see that white flag. So Travis now can focus forward and see what he can do to get that extra win. 6 wins on the year for this Nola Sport team on the way to the championship. Can they put another one in the column?
Just a lap and a half to go here at Sebring. 2 races remain in the season following this at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Watch Travis set this up. He's going to get really wide to the left here. Try and get his hand straight, get on the pad, just sneak it on a little bit early and get that run off.
Did he get the run he needed, Cal?
Not sure. I thought there'd be a bigger delta there, but Pappas did a nice job as well. See Walker in the background there, hanging on to that podium run.
This has been the best battle on the racetrack, so we'll stick with it. Coming around to take the white flag, Mackay Stevens to the overall lead, and leaves it now to these two to fight it out for the Pro-Am victory. Tim Pappas has it, looking for his first win of the season. White flag flies. Matt Travis trying to take it away.
Pappas has got to be careful. He needs to get shallow on the entry. Here comes Travis down to the inside. Late move. Pappas has to give it up. Can he come back at him on the exit?
Oh, he's got the crossover working. He's to the inside. He'll have the braking zone advantage into turn 3 if he can get alongside, but he cannot. Matt Travis sweeps across the nose, and on the final lap at Sebring takes the Pro-Am lead.
Beautifully done. Pappas is digging deep now. He's going to try and respond. There's some traffic up ahead. Could that be a factor here?
Yeah, this might not be done just yet. We'll keep an eye on it. Mackay Stevens sprinting away. Damon Surgison just up the road in the Four-Bush Racing Supra. That's the lap traffic that the leaders may yet have to contend with before the day is done. But what a power move from the champion-elect. Matt Travis set him up, made the outside move work.
Yeah, that was a little bit tasty, that one. Really nicely done. Just set him up through turn 17, rolled a bit more speed, side by side down into the brake zone for 1. And they fought it out all the way to Christensen corner.
Last lap at Sebring, and yes, the leaders will encounter the lap traffic. It's holding up Stevens a little bit. Not sure it's going to be enough to make a difference there. Stevens to the outside of Surgison.
This could get a little bit awkward here for Travis. Get to that traffic in a really troublesome spot here.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Oh,
really no place to go hide.
Yeah, he could lose a lot of momentum here through that critical final corner. Pappas needs to dig deep, try and set this up. I think Travis is going to be okay.
Oh, not an ideal situation to run into the exit of turn 16, but I think you're right. I think he's built just enough of a gap that he should be able to hang on one last time through Sunset Bend. And the champion-elect staring down yet another race win here on the 2021 season. But for the second straight day, Conquest Racing West, Mackay Stevens, Colin Mullen, they win overall at Sebring. Matt Travis, Jason Hart take home second overall and the win in Pro-Am. Tim Pappas, a hard-fought second in class. Let's look a little bit further back. Kenny Murillo and Christian Shimshak should be coming across the line soon, and if they do so, they will clinch the silver championship, and they do. Championship decided in the silver class. Second place more than enough. To the AM class leader we go now. Kevin Conway through turn 17. Smooge Racing keeps the streak alive of at least one win every single weekend this season in Pirelli GT4 America. Smooge Racing wins in AM.
That is the icing on the cake there. Great run there by Kevin Conway. Superb performance by the whole group.
Wow, championships decided now in all 3 classes with still 2 races to go.
Well, it's been a fun year. Get to Indy and there'll be no holds barred because the championships are decided.
Yep, that's right. Oh, looks like a problem on the last lap for the Dexter Racing car. They were running 4th in silver and it plummeted down the order. Did just cross the line, so whatever it was, they were at least able to come around and take the checkered flag. Still finished 4th in silver, but down in 20th overall. Crowd strike, fastest lap of the race set by this car back in the first stint. Colin Mullen was very, very fast. Had to fight through some traffic early in his stint, then found some clean track and started to run down the leaders and set up his teammate Mackay Stevens to make that dash to P1 overall.
Well, this is a really strong organization. Great drive appearing. They do the full championship season. Look out.
And for Mackay Stevens, They had a nice run at Watkins Glen, and he had a rather unpleasant surprise when that weekend concluded. He spent a little time in the hospital dealing with a kidney stone, but bounced back in a big way. They sweep the weekend, not just in class, but overall. Conquest Racing West there at the top of the results page. All of these provisional for now. Second place overall, but the win in Pro-Am for NOLA Sport, the champions of that class. Matt Travis and Jason Hart ahead of Tim Pappas and Jerome Bleekemolen. Great run for the Black Swan Racing crew. Second page of the results, and that's where you find your second place car in the AM class. A good weekend for Random Vandals Racing. A win and a second. They had some issues with a small crash early in the weekend, then electrical gremlins they were dealing with, but they come away with some strong results and have some momentum behind them, not just for the Pirelli GT4 America race at IMS, but also they'll be part of the Indianapolis 8-hour with a little help from IndyCar driver Connor Daly for that race.
Yeah, some spectacular driver lineups we're looking forward to for that weekend. So lots to play for and some really solid performances. And I want to give a shout out to Tim Pappas because he'll be disappointed, but I'm sure he'll still have a big smile on his face enjoying that battle out there today. Who ultimately ended up in second place along with his teammate Jerome Bleekemolen.
Great race from them. Bleekemolen, as ever, rapid at the start of the race, but Pappas did exactly what he needed to do when he took over the controls and kept that thing up front for much of the race, only dropping to third overall in the final couple of laps. Boy, oh boy, what a great return to Sebring it has been for the SRO America Championship. Still one big race yet to come today. Second of two races this weekend for Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. That's coming up in a few hours' time. 1 o'clock Eastern here at Sebring. Race 1 was a bunch of fun yesterday, and excited to see what Race 2 has in store. There are the Pro-Am champs and the race winners in that class here today. On the left, Jason Hart, Matt Travis on the right. Got the big old Pirelli hats on. And buckle up. You never know what these interviews are going to be like. Jack Baldwin, the class manager for Pirelli GT4 America, coming by to have a word with them. And you have to give him a lot of credit, too, for what he has built with this class. The grids week in and week out are incredibly strong. The racing is tremendous. And we've just seen a boom in GT4 racing in recent years under Jack's watch.
He's the perfect player for that role in terms of guiding the teams, listening to the teams. I think that's the most important factor, listening to the teams, giving them the service and the tools to make their job a little bit easier.
Saw a few moments ago on the right of the screen the stopped Dexter Racing Aston Martin, so whatever problem they had, they were able to coast across the line, but not much further. Great to have fans out here at Sebring, taking it all in, and a beautiful day in which to do it. Hoping for similar weather for the season finale at Indianapolis in a few weeks. There's Jerome Bleekemolen, had a great opening stint, big smile on the Dutchman's face. He and Tim Pappas right there in the backdrop.
Yeah, Tim's happy.
Yes. All right, let's head down to Victory Circle and Amanda.
Well, Mackay Stevens was just greeted with a massive hug from John Farrow, and while you guys did win yesterday, you got to drive it to victory here today. When you look back at the effort that you made, what will come to mind of this win?
That it was an alley-oop. That's what I said to Colin when I was coming in. I said, thank you so much for setting me up. I mean, it starts with the team. It started with yesterday, and it started with John giving us the opportunity to come here early enough in the weekend to get ourselves sorted. And then for the organization at large, continue to stay strong together as a unit. Once more, Colin put me up in a beautiful position, put a beautiful delta on the board for me to try and knock down every lap, and I just appreciate everybody's assistance here.
Well, Colin, you guys have been absolutely strong ever since you showed up at Road America. What can we expect from the two of you as you continue to grow as teammates?
Well, you know, Mackay gives me too much credit. I mean, he drove the wheels off this thing in the second half of the race. So, you know, certainly we work really well together as a pairing, and having two quick drivers in the car, you know, really helps this Mercedes AMG get to the front. We had a rocket ship today. Super good on its tires over the stint. It's a little hard for us to fight at the very start of the race, but you know, our focus was just manage our tires and let the race come to us. But again, just a huge thank you to John Farrow, Eric Bachelard, this entire team. You know, everybody's worked so hard to put this program together, and like everyone said, you assemble the right group of people and good things can happen. So really owe it to this whole team for making this a possibility in the first place.
Back-to-back overall wins here at Sebring.
Thanks so much.
Two very impressive young drivers and a nice bond that they've formed there. And a similar background, trying to make it in the open wheel ranks and have seen sports cars as a chance to continue their career. Really were thrown a huge break with this program, and they have earned every bit of it.
And same for Eric Bachelat and Conquest Racing, right? I mean, big-time single-seater entrants over the years. Now they've turned their attention to sports car racing with some great success.
Definitely so. Great to have a team of that caliber and pedigree as part of the championship, and two up-and-comers like Colin Mullen and Mackay Stevens, who have just been getting better and better as the year goes along, as you would expect, coming to grips with the new car. Neither of them had any experience with the Mercedes prior to this year, and Mackay had no GT4 experience to speak of. But you would know it based on the results that they have been able to assemble here so far. A second win overall for the Conquest Racing West duo. Matt Travis and Jason Hart, they win in Pro-Am, and they are standing by now with Amanda.
Well, Jason Hart just changed positions, so Matt Travis got this interview first, and I think that is a nod to the performance that we saw out of you. The battle between you and Tim, how long did you plan for that overtake?
You can never really plan one in the sense that you can't decide it's going to happen. You got to just be there and see if it happens. I thought when the Mercedes went by and won, that was going to be my chance, but Tim did a good job and covered, and it wasn't. So the goal was to just be close and apply pressure, and made the move into one. I appreciate him racing me clean. Really, everybody at the front raced really clean today. We had good battles with the Mercedes and with Pappas, and yeah, just a good, fun, clean race.
Well, Jason, I was looking for you on pit lane, but you were on the top deck watching this battle ensue as well. What do you make of the drive that Matt had today?
It's impressive. I mean, all the nods to Tim as well. Tim had a great drive, but for Matt to stay there, keep the pressure on, keep the car going. I don't know if the people watching understand just how slick this track gets. To explain it, it's put on a pair of tennis shoes and try to run across an ice skating rink. It is that slick out there when the tires get smoked. And, I mean, it's so hard to drive the finishing stint, so all kudos to Matt. That was his race.
Leave Sebring with a win and a championship.
Unreal.
It was an unexpectedly tame interview out of those two.
Well, maybe they celebrated a bit last night.
You might be onto something. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know it by the way they drove. Jason qualified that car on the front row and did drop back a little initially, but as maybe he was just saving some of those tires for Matt. That's a huge component of Pirelli GT4 America racing, where the two drivers shared the same set of tires for the whole race.
And it's amazing the performance that we've seen through the summer months in terms of those Pirelli P0s, whether it's in the GT4 level of competition, GT3, that these fast laps are being set deep into the runs. That really is a testimony to the durability and the efficiency of the tires.
No question about it. A lot of strong runs late in this race, all across the board. We've heard from Stevens and Mullen. We've now heard from Travis and Hart. Looking forward to catching up with our champions in the AM class as well, who picked up the win to boot, Kevin Conway and John Jesbray. I mean, we'd not heard of John coming into the season. Just the 1 year of MX5 Cup racing. Very little experience to draw upon, and at every time of asking, he has come to the fore. It's been remarkable.
Great team, great organization, great platform in the Toyota Supra, and I think having a great mentor there in Kevin Conway with his experience and guidance, and just he seems like a really calm guy, and I think that's what you need with a bright young prospect like Kevin has with Jesbray. He's steering him in the right direction.
It sure seems that way, and the way that they've grown throughout the season has been really fun to watch, and let's continue with that story now. Amanda has found our AM leaders in the victory circle.
And right behind us is that podium that they're about to take, guys. And John, we were able to talk to Kevin earlier about not only you guys, you won here, but you got the championship here. Your teammates, everyone talks about the talent that you have. What do you make of it?
Well, I think it's more of a team effort than anything. I mean, you can see our car is great throughout the stint, and towards the end, it comes alive quicker than just about every other car at the end of the stint. And so I'd say it's more up to the team. We overhauled the car yesterday, and the decision paid off today. So.
I would say you have to give yourself some credit here as well, John. What do you do to prepare week in, week out?
A lot of sim training, basically, simulator driving, like on iRacing, and it's not really work. It's more fun. I enjoy doing it, and that's what I would be doing if I wasn't racing. So it's definitely, to be doing it for a reason is beneficial, though. So.
Well, they say when you love what you do, it's never a day at the office. And Kevin, another win for your team. What's the ceiling for you guys?
Oh man, I tell you, we've surpassed all expectations, even of our own, and we set really high ones at the beginning of the year, but also realistic, knowing how competitive this series is, and to come out with 7 wins this year and to win at every track so far is an incredible testament to this race team. And you know, we started pretty far off the mark this weekend, and we kept improving the car and getting it better and better. So to get this win today is incredibly special, and anytime you can win at Sebring, it's incredible. And this kid's going to remember these first wins for a long time to come. And just really excited for Smooth Racing, Toyota, Jesbray Group, Cooper Natural Resources, Fuzi, and all of our partners that make this happen, because we wouldn't be here without them.
We'll let the podium celebrations commence. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just amazing that they found a way to win each and every weekend at least once this season.
Yeah, and that's the consistency you're looking for. That's why they're the champions, and they had all the right ingredients.
Highlights of a dramatic race 2 of the weekend in Pirelli GT4 America. Bill Oberlin led the field to green. That's the BMW center screen. But look at that behind. 28 GT4 cars spanning out 4 and 5 wide.
Yeah, it's just some of the best GT races in the business there at the start of this Pro-Am battle.
Great stuff here. Elliott Skier to the inside, Jason Hart to the outside. Couple of Porsches going side by side.
Turn 17, what a classic corner. Just riding the bumps through there and trying to survive.
Spin here for Samir Gandhi after a great opening stint from Tom Dyer. Contact there between James Clay and Paul Terry. Terry got the worst end of that. Here is the charge from the Murillo Racing car. Ultimately finished in second in class, but clinched the championship. Meanwhile, the battle for the overall lead was a fierce one. Mackay Stevens around the outside of Tim Pappas into turn 1, and Matt Travis was keeping a close eye on that, trying to find his own way by. Just a few laps later, he made the inside move work, although Pappas made him work for it.
He did, side by side on the run down to turn 3, and enabled Matt Travis just to nip ahead on the final lap of the race.
There it is, the run to the checkered flag, and indeed, Mackay Stevens, Colin Mullen, Conquest Racing pick up their second consecutive overall win here at Sebring. Just 2 rounds of the Pirelli GT4 America Championship remain at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 2 weeks' time. That's it for us from Sebring. Talk to you from Indy.